All right, so you've probably been hearing a ton about the AI explosion, right? But what if I told you it's not just one big bang, it's actually two totally separate revolutions happening at the exact same time? See, one is all about massive, world-changing scale, but the other, it's about building a completely new kind of AI brain. And you really need to get your head around both to see the full picture of what's coming. So let's jump into that first revolution. And it starts with a pretty wild idea. Imagine this. What if you could tell an AI to build you an entire business, and then you just go to sleep? And I'm not talking about, writing a couple of blog posts. I mean the whole shebang. The research, the product, the website, everything. And the crazy part? This isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. It's knocking on our door right now. This is what we're calling the AI agent. Think about it. We've been using AI like a really, really smart calculator. You give it a task, it gives you an answer. But this is a huge leap. We're talking about an AI that's more like a virtual employee, one that can take a high-level goal and just run with it. It can juggle multiple apps, handle complex projects, all without you having to hold its hand every step of the way. So back to our business example. You'd literally just give a single prompt to something like a future GPT-5. Just, hey, build me an online business selling custom pet portraits. And boom, it gets to work. First, it's diving deep, researching the niche to see what sells. Then it's actually designing the product offering. After that, it's creating logos, brand colors, the whole visual identity. Then it builds the website from scratch. And to top it all off, it starts drafting your marketing emails and social media campaigns. It's not an assistant anymore, it's an executor. And of course, when you have a tool this powerful, it just blows the doors open for new kinds of businesses. I mean, think about it. You could basically create an AI agency in a box and sell that service to, say, local dentists or plumbers. Or you could spin up automated content farms, pumping out super niche, high-quality videos or articles. You could even create these hyper-personalized AI mentorship programs. The real opportunity here isn't about doing the work yourself. It's about becoming the person who knows how to direct these powerful new agents. And that's the absolute key takeaway for this first revolution. It's a total mindset shift. For the past few years, we've been using AI. But with something like GPT-5, you're not going to use it. You're going to delegate to it. You become the CEO, and the AI is your chief operating officer, running the whole show. That's a massive, fundamental change in our relationship with tech. Okay, so that's revolution number one. Bigger, stronger, more capable AI agents. The more is more approach. But here's the twist. Is just scaling up, making these models bigger and feeding them more data, is that really the only way forward? What if there's another, completely different way to get to smarter AI? And that brings us to revolution number two. And honestly, this one is a straight-up David versus Goliath story. You've got this tiny, little-known startup that's built an AI called HRM. And here's the thing. It's not bigger. It wasn't trained on some secret, massive data set. Nope. It's built on a totally different blueprint, a new kind of architecture. And the results it's getting are, frankly, shocking. Just look at how different these two approaches are. On one hand, you have the giants, the traditional LLMs. They have billions of parameters, they're trained on basically the entire internet, and they think using a method called chain of thought. Then you have HRM. It's tiny, only 27 million parameters. It's trained on just a handful of targeted examples, and it thinks using something totally new called a planner worker loop. It's like comparing a battleship to a stealth fighter. Okay, and this is where it gets absolutely wild. There's this benchmark called ARC-AGI. You can think of it like an IQ test for AI reasoning. And this tiny little HRM model, it scored over 40%. That might not sound huge, but it crushed bigger models from giants like OpenAI and Anthropic. We're talking about a model that's a fraction of the size, outthinking the competition. That's not supposed to happen. But if you want a real jaw-dropper, look at this. They tested it on hard Sudoku puzzles, a pure test of logic and planning. HRM solved 55% of them. Okay, pretty good. But the other models, the big famous ones, they solved zero. Nada. Not a single one. That's not just a little bit better. That's a fundamentally different kind of ability. One can do it, the others can't at all. So the obvious question is, how, right? How is this even possible? How does this tiny model run circles around the behemoths on certain tasks? Well, it all comes down to how it thinks. It's not about raw size. It's about having a much smarter, more efficient internal process. Okay, so most of the models you use today, they use something called chain of thought. Basically, they talk themselves through a problem, one step after another after another. The huge weakness here, though, is that it's like trying to do a really long, complicated math problem, but you're writing in pen. If you make one little mistake on line 2, the entire rest of your calculation is toast, and there's no eraser, you're stuck.
HRM works completely differently. It has a built-in self-correcting loop. The best way to think about it is like a chess grandmaster and their assistant. You've got the planner brain, that's the grandmaster. It looks at the board and comes up with a high-level strategy. Then it tells the worker brain, the assistant, okay, go try out these moves real quick. The worker does it fast, brings back the results, and the planner looks at it and says, okay, that didn't quite work. Let's refine the plan. Try this instead. It's this constant loop of planning, executing, and reviewing that lets it catch its own mistakes and find the right path.
And get this, the efficiency is just mind-blowing. The people who built HRM claim you can train it to solve Sudoku puzzles at a professional level in just 2 hours on a single GPU. That's insane. We're used to training taking weeks and costing millions of dollars. This isn't just a small improvement. It's a completely different league. It could totally change who can build and train powerful AI. So when you zoom out, you can see it clearly. This isn't one future for AI. It's 2. We're fighting a war on 2 fronts. On one side, you have the push for these powerful, do-everything agents that can run your business. And on the other, you have the push for these new, efficient brains that can reason and solve problems in a way we haven't seen before. And this quote from one of the creators of HRM just says it all, doesn't it? What we have built is something that can think. That's the core of this second revolution. It's not about just making a better autocomplete by throwing more data at it. It's about a genuine attempt to build a machine that can reason, that can reflect, that can actually think. So let's just lay it all out, side by side. You've got the AI agent revolution, which is all about doing. It's about autonomous execution, plugging into all our apps, and getting complex stuff done. Then you have the AI brain revolution, which is all about thinking. It's about advanced reasoning, efficiency, and solving those really tough logic-based problems. And the key thing to realize is they're not enemies. They're 2 different but equally crucial parts of the future, which of course leads us to the biggest, most exciting question of all. Right now, these 2 revolutions are on parallel tracks. But what happens when those tracks converge? What happens when you take the incredible power and connectivity of the AI agent and you give it the efficient, self-correcting, true reasoning capabilities of a new AI brain? What becomes possible then? That's where things get really interesting.